Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That's an oldie and goodie from Laura Berman. And we're on. And we have, I figured out how to get to play that music again because it is on our copyright list that we have a license for. And that's all music that Laura and Craig wrote when they got their start at Center for Spiritual Living many years ago. So welcome everybody to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. Welcome to all of you who are online, and that is Facebook or YouTube, and everybody that's here, because you bring a vibe and I get the best of you. I get the best of each and every one of you, and hopefully you get the best of me, because I with the weather yesterday and just having all the windows closed and the air conditioning on, which is not my favorite thing, I wasn't at my best. And so part of today's talk is really about how to navigate our way through the days or the moments or the experiences that we feel are not the best of us, because there's the both end, right? And so today the topic is mind over matter, and some of what I'm going to talk about you've probably heard me talk about many times since you've been coming here. I've been part of this teaching, but it's in a new setting, because I really talk about the same thing all the time, just in a different way. And now we get some nice rain, a little background music. So we are Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. I'm Frankie Timmers, and you can find us on our website. There's all kinds of goodies there. There's a blog, there's treatments, there's information about workshops and classes and events. There are our practitioners who are in service to each of you, and today we have Susan Mead, who's a practitioner at CSL Princeton, and I'm sure there's other stuff that I don't even remember is on there. So Susan is going to bring a spiritual practice and do a little bit of an experience so we can think more deeply about how we're using our own mind. So I'm inspired by you every day. And you may be surprised, because I realize I don't always say that. I don't always convey that. But each and every one of you are an inspiration to me when you show up, when you do a treatment, when you visit a practitioner, when you go to a class, when you grapple with something and you move through it. So today, really what I'm doing is I'm using you. I'm using each and every one of you as inspiration for some wisdom that you already know. I never tell you anything new, that I know for sure. And so the inspiration is about being inspired by you, by your life, by your mind, by how you work the teaching, and by how you heal, you grow, and you transform. And so that's kind of what the talk is about today. So let us do our Namaste practice, which is, Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. The beauty of that is that there's a giving and a receiving. So you may think you're giving, but remember to also receive, because that's balance, right? So put your hands together and just bow to somebody or everybody, or Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Oh, you're just in time. Namaste.
Namaste. And now let's treat, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So as we withdraw our attention just for a few moments from the outer world, as we close our eyes, it calls us to that inner world. And so let the next breath be the breath that centers you in that inner world, that sacred, secret place we sometimes call heart of hearts, our spirit, our essential nature, which is our partaking of the universal, essential nature that is all giving, all knowing, all loving, all serving, unconditionally present, unconditional love and grace and wisdom and joy and health and abundance and beauty. And as we partake of that, as we center ourselves in that, it changes everything, because it makes us look at our lives in a different way, maybe in a new way for the first time, or in a new way around a particular experience. And so we are grateful for this freedom that is available to us, to always look at life from that place of pure love, pure grace, pure wisdom. And there is no right or wrong in that process. There is just the experience telling us how to live more deeply connected to the source of our being. And so today we open our minds and our hearts. We set the intention to let go of whatever is in the way, and we allow ourselves to be filled with gratitude for this life that we get to live, because each of us lives a uniquely inspired and expressed and experienced life that is perfectly conducive to our spiritual evolution. In acceptance of this and so much more, we find more and more gratitude, and so it is.
So it is.
So I do want to tell you, I'll tell you a few things that are happening here later. Let's start with this. Science of Mind magazine this month has the daily guides by one of my favorite colleagues, the Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano of Mile High in Denver. And it has such a powerful opening phrase. She says, discerning the spiritual truth about a condition or a circumstance is one of the greatest skills we can learn. Isn't that like, yes! Great reminder, right? I needed that one yesterday. Discerning the spiritual truth about a condition or a circumstance is one of the greatest skills we can learn. To make this leap and reap the benefits, we must escape our attachment to our conditions and embrace greater spiritual awareness. This journey is not always easy, yet it's well worth it. I love that, right? And so you inspire me because I know you're doing that. Even though I don't astral project into your world or into your life, and Tom is laughing, he's saying, yeah, right, you should have seen me. But I know that when we look at the balance of that, when we struggle and when we overcome a struggle, whether it's 10 times a day, that inspires me. The fact that you're here means you are someone who is on a spiritual journey and you're practicing these principles or some spiritual principles that you love. And it means that there are days where you trip and fall, maybe more often than you'd like, or maybe even break a bone. But then there are days or moments where you don't. And these moments of grace then fill us and remind us who we really are and what's really possible. The key is that we don't beat ourselves up for all the moments that we forget, which is so tempting. I mean, maybe only for me. So, sometimes so unconscious, right? And sometimes so brutal. I mean, am I the only person in this room that has an inner bully? Anybody else have an inner bully? Right? So what if that's just part of our nature and how that inner bully can become our teacher instead of a burden? And so that's kind of where we're going with this today. Because the whole idea is that we forget, we remember, we forget, we remember. And I think it's important to make it that simple. And so the topic mind over matter is really about mind. And if I ask each of you, what is your definition of mind, I'm probably going to get a different definition. And maybe some of you say, I'm so confused. Universal mind, infinite mind, divine mind, the oneness of the oneness of all life, the one mind, or my mind, subconscious mind, the subjective mind, the human mind, the spiritual mind. And sometimes it's like, what is what? I am so confused. I don't know what is what. So I want to make it really, really simple. And so I'm not going to go into the explanation of that. You need to be in the class for that one. But I want to just make it that simple so that we understand that there is only one mind. There's only one mind, capital O, capital M. And mind in this sense is another word for God. A lot of people struggle with the word God, so mind is perfect. But sometimes we think that's that thing from the neck up, It's the mental aspect, it's our thinking, it's our intellect. But mind, in this case, is just another word for universe, spirit, essence, divine energy. So we can have many names for that, but it's all there is. It's everywhere present. It's in everyone and everything, everywhere, all the time, and it is infinite. And so we cannot see it because it's the invisible presence of life, just like I cannot see my breath. It's like that, but it's at an even grander scale than our human mind, with a small m, can comprehend. And so the human mind, our personal mind, is how we are using this universal mind. Just like my breathing takes in only a little bit of air, but the air is infinite and it's everywhere, right? And so just like we noticed a few weeks ago with the fires, that breathing was a little harder. We had to think about it in a different way. It's kind of like how the mind works. We have to think about it in a different way. Because it's like a funnel, right? It's like the universal mind is the funnel, and what comes out is how I am personally using this. But I'm not always conscious of it. I'm not always conscious of it. For example, I don't have to think about using my mind to get my heart to beat or to get my muscles to work. And a lot of times, I don't even have to think about sleeping, getting up, taking a shower, brushing my teeth, eating breakfast, eating lunch. I might want to think about what I want for breakfast, but these are all things that are so automatic. Same with driving a car. I mean, I don't know about you. Of course, I want to pay attention when I'm driving my car, but it's just so automatic. Sometimes I get from home to here and I think, wow, how did I get here so quickly? Because my mind was either thinking about something else, or I was enjoying the scenery, or I was listening to some music or to a talk. And so the idea is to begin to pay attention to how we are using this universal mind, because it is infinite and it is ever available to us. And we always want to expand our idea of how we're using this mind. One of the ways that we can tell, let me back up a little bit. So the experience then is we're consciously experiencing and aware of this universal mind, that we're using it or we're not. And when we're not conscious of how we're using it, we have a tendency to use it against ourselves because we're not aware of the oneness with it. We feel separate from it. And really, if we think about it, when we look at the world, the suffering that we're seeing is a global example of a sense of separation from this universal mind, from the divine mind. That's true for us individually as well. When you and I experience suffering, it usually is a telltale sign that we're feeling a disconnect from this universal mind, this universal love. And so it behooves us to pay attention and to notice, because as within, so without. What we're seeing in the world is not separate from what we're experiencing inside. Because the world is the collective of everything and everyone projected onto the world scene. And so that's why we do the spiritual work that we do, because when we witness separation out there, it's just a mirror for the sense of separation inside. So Science of Mind teaching is about noticing when we feel separate. We can tell because we don't feel good. We can tell because we're judging. We can tell because we're bullying ourselves or someone else, maybe in our head. We can tell because we're discriminating, judging, having opinions that aren't making us feel good. We can tell when we feel connected, when we feel acceptance and love and cherishment and honoring all of creation. Life tells us, our physical presence tells us where we are in our use of the universal mind. So I want to read this quote by Ernest Hose from the Science of Mind magazine, and it's from Creative Mind and Success. Realize that behind everything that is seen is the silent cause. In your life, you are that cause. There's nothing but mind, and nothing moves except as mind, capital M, moves it. I'll read this again. In our lives of conditions, we are the cause, and nothing moves except as mind moves it. Let me read this again. Realize that behind everything that is seen is this silent cause. In your life, you are that cause. There is nothing but mind, capital M. And nothing moves except as mind, capital M, moves it. In our lives of conditions, we are the cause, and nothing moves except as our mind moves it. A more simple way is this, which is a gift from my friend Hester, who's moved to the other side a long time ago. Let's see if we can put it here so you can see it. And it says, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. This has been hanging back there since we moved in here. I don't know if anybody noticed. But I thought, let me bring it up because it lived at my house for about 7 years. That's a more simple way, right? And so what we want to do is remember that none of this is fluid. That all of this is fluid, that none of this is stagnant. So there's a fluidity to it that can sometimes be kind of frustrating. But it invites us to pay attention, to just be present, to just notice what we notice, to notice where you are, what you're experiencing, what's happening, because my life tells me how I'm using this universal mind, how I'm using my mind. Your life tells you how you are using your mind, which is your use of the universal mind. That's why we do spiritual practices, so that we can connect our mind with the universal mind, because in truth they're not separate. They cannot be. But we experience them as separate because we believe they are separate. And our belief in separation from the universal mind can create all kinds of trouble. We can notice this when we think about or notice our relationships. We can notice our health. We can notice our finances. We can notice our career or our vocation. Just notice what we notice. Notice what we think about it, what we're saying about it, how we feel about it, without bullying ourselves around it, because that shuts it down. Just noticing, just being present with. You might say, I love my job. I can't wait to go to work. Or you might say, oh God, it's almost Monday. That has a different effect on our body, on our mind, on our heart, and on our soul. Do you feel that's common sense? Right? There comes a moment when we're in this kind of teaching where we say, oh, that makes total sense to me. Right? And so we want to pay attention too about the things we say or think about our bodies, about aging, about how we feel when we have a health issue. Just notice that, become aware of it, and just kind of go, that's very telling. It tells me how I am using my mind, which is my use of the universal mind. And this is true with relationships. And this is true with our abundance. All of it is information about what I'm thinking, how I'm using my mind, and how I am tuned in to the universal mind, which only knows grace, only knows the purest love, only knows perfect health, only knows absolute abundance. So when we're not experiencing those things, they're just messengers saying, hey, you're out of sync with the universal mind, which is your use of your mind. And so we play with that, we use that, we explore that. And we don't shut it down by blaming it, because that shuts it down right away and it creates a whole other snowball effect. And to feel that we're separate, we take a next step and kind of hang out in that, saying, oh, that's so interesting. That's how I'm using my mind. Many of you took the Prosperity Plus workshops, the work designed by Mary Morrissey. And the thing that stands out so much, or stood out so much because I've been using it for a long time, was where she says everything is created twice. Mm-hmm. So if I look at this little stand, first it was an idea. Somebody thought of this. Somebody designed this. And then they made it. They became form. So mind first, always. Matter is secondary. That is true for us in our experience too. What I'm experiencing was first a thought, a belief, a way of thinking, how I'm using my mind, how I've been conditioned. And if it doesn't serve me, I have to remind myself that I have the power and the capacity, the ability to make a change. And it might take a lifetime, but it's worthy because it begins to then snowball into experiences that lift us up, that guide us, that remind us. And so you inspire me because I know you think about this. First step, to think about it, right? And then you hear it and you go, oh, okay, or you go, darn it, right? And then you say, well, let me try. So some of you that were new in classes were experimenting with a parking space. And then you did a treatment, an affirmative prayer to get a parking space. And there it was. Oh, I demonstrated a parking space. I remember when I first started treating for abundance because I was incredibly poor and broke and almost homeless, I started finding pennies. I didn't like that they were pennies. I preferred $100 bills. But I only had the consciousness of pennies. I was finding pennies. So I knew if I could find a penny, I can find more. Doesn't mean it's on the ground. And I'm always finding money. I found 2 dimes the other day. And so it's a matter of seeing ourselves working with it. And not so much judging us where it's not working or where it's not working the way we want it to work, or not working good enough, but to keep focusing on how it is working. Because that generates an energy inside of us that becomes magnetic. And so what we do is we choose over and over and over again to remind ourselves, to remember that there's a universal mind, and your mind and my mind is connected to this. And we can use it more deeply, more worthily, more clearly, more powerfully, more often. And the using then is in relationship to our lives. Personally, there are things in my life that I don't treat for anymore, that I don't pray for anymore, because I feel very full and very satisfied and very content. But other things I might still treat for because they're challenges that show up here and there. So you might have a challenge when it comes to health and not comes to finance, but somebody else might have a challenge with finance and not with health. Some of you might have a challenge truly feeling worthy for the good that the universe is offering. And some of you may feel very worthy, but you might have a challenge with this one person that just always seems to annoy you, right? We all have something different. We work with what gets in the way of us experiencing that fullness and that wholeness. So our lives are the teacher. We pay attention, we choose, we commit more deeply to our well-being, to our connection with the universal mind, and we watch ourselves transform. Maybe you find yourself not as worried or not as anxious or not as much thinking about that you aren't enough or you don't do enough or you don't have enough. You want to notice these little shifts that make us feel like something is happening within our consciousness because we're focusing our attention in a different way. And most of it is about being present. So most of it is about being present, noticing what we notice, noticing how we're feeling, noticing what we need to let go of, and noticing how we find ourselves off-center and how to come back. And so then we look for the outcome. I want to read this to you. It's a few more paragraphs than I normally would like to read, but it's so important. And because we're doing the last meeting today, and everybody is welcome to come, whether you've been to any of these book discussions or not. But we're doing a book discussion called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which is one of the most valuable books that I own and that I regularly find myself back to. It's very, very simple. Almost too simple because the ego mind says it can't be that easy. It really is an invitation to notice what we notice, to let it go, and to relax. Notice what we notice, let it go, and relax. Because that bully mind has an infinite list to remind us of. And we want to just keep letting that go, keep letting that go, keep letting that go until it becomes a habit of letting go and being free. So on the last chapter in this, and again we meet today at 12:32 in our multi-purpose room, our sacred space. It says spiritual growth can be experienced just like anything else. You may have experienced a time in your life when you felt a lot of negativity, anger, and resentment. You know how that feels. And you know how you feel toward others when you're feeling that way. You know how your heart feels, and you know what your thoughts and actions are like. You know that space. It's not a philosophy, it's a direct experience. If you grow past that part of you, over time, you will actually drift away from the feelings of tension and anxiety. The entire cloud of lower vibrations will appear further and further away from where you sit inside. The cloud may still be there, but if you don't identify with it or hold on to it, it can no longer hold on to you. As you release the lower vibrations, you naturally stop thinking they are you and that there's anything you have to do about them. As you let go of them, your spirit drifts upward. What you begin to feel is that you're going into your spiritual being. As you associate less with the physical and psychological parts of your being, you begin to identify more with the flow of pure energy. What does it feel like to identify more with spirit than with form? You used to walk around feeling anxiety and tension. Now you walk around feeling love. You just feel love for no reason. Your backdrop is openness, beauty, and appreciation. You don't have to make yourself feel that way. That's how spirit feels. Because of this, you naturally begin to center more and more on the spiritual part of your being. You do this not by reaching for spirit, but by letting go of the rest. There really is no other way. The personal self cannot touch spirit. You must release the personal self. As you release it, you drift back. As you go further back, you get higher. You get higher in vibration, and higher in the amount of love and lightness that you feel. You just begin to soar. This happens in an ever increasing continuous progression. So it's very valuable for us to notice when we feel lighter, when we feel happier, just maybe a flash of a moment, when we feel peaceful, when we feel trusting, when we feel joy and laughter, because those moments are just calling us. They are reminders that that's the real us, that's the real you, that's life, that's what we're worthy of, that's what wants to shine through. I really believe that you and I are here to feel free. To feel free in our bodies, in our mind, in our heart, in our spirit. And that's why you show up. Because you and I long for that freedom. But it requires a conscious knowing, conscious awareness, and then a conscious letting go of whatever is in the way, without expectation, without judgment, without a goal, without opinions. Because that's when we know that we are using the universal mind, the universal heart, we are experiencing the universal body, and that we are turning to this higher aspect of our mind that is already within us. It's already available. It's just been a bit covered up by that bully, by our conditioning, by what we learned, what we've come to believe. And so this life then becomes inspired because it's in spirit. It becomes inspired because it's in spirit. So let's hear some music, again, from Laura Berman. And then we'll get the deliciousness of Susan sharing an experience and a guided meditation. This song is called When I Speak.
My word can move my soul where I can't imagine, but it is happening. One turn straight down that road could open up the door to so much more. I've been wasting my dreams on hours I sleep. This time I believe the words
was beautiful. You know, Reverend Frankie said that you've heard these words all before. But one thing I have to say about Reverend Frankie is she makes these words that we've all heard before sound fresh, new, and inspirational.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So thank you. It's true. It's true. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to some words by Ernest Holmes. We're going to then do a little activity that will help me customize the guided meditation, which is also written by Dr. Ernest Holmes. So it's an Ernest Holmes day. So these are words of Ernest Holmes. Every day, every moment, every second, there is a choice. If it were not so, we would not be individuals. We have the right to choose what we experience. So I say, what do we choose? Monkey brain or mindfulness? Old patterns or new practices? Or dependence or freedom? And we have the choice. And you know, dependence is sort of about really being separate, feeling that separation from God when we're dependent on things and outcomes. So we're going to participate in a little activity. You know, a long time ago, I was a shoe model, and we used to be behind. True story. That just made me think of it. So here we are, we have a right to choose. But for the purpose of this guided meditation by Dr. Holmes, which is really a covenant or an agreement that we're going to make with our higher selves, to be more focused on the mindfulness, the practice, and the freedom. So I invite you to shout out or raise your hand if you want to be civilized. Some monkey brain things that have been harassing you lately, or some dependence that you feel. And I'll admit mine. I have had appearance of a shoulder injury, torn rotator cuff. And people say, how you know I have a torn rotator cuff? I just admit it. It's like, it's my crowning glory. And how's it going? Well, it's not going so good. I had PRP treatment and it's, I still feel pain. Well, guess what? It's not going so good and I still feel pain. Mm-hmm. And it just comes out naturally. People ask you, how are you feeling? And you state what you're feeling. And you could just stand back, as Reverend Frankie so beautifully expressed. Watch it and don't give it any power. And you can say to people, I've got this opportunity, I'm working on something right now, and I'm excited about that. Yes! So, I would like to hear from you so we could insert it into this agreement by Ernest Holmes that we can customize it for our group. So what dependent thoughts are you coming up with, or whether it's money or fear or some old patterns that you want to break? Anybody have anything to share? We can air our dirty laundry here.
Oh, yeah.
Anything we say here is confidential. Oh. So.
I don't have enough time.
No.
Not enough time, yeah.
I'm not sure where to be. This is good. Not enough time. Oop, let's do a different color. Anything else? We have no issues here. Well,
anxiety about the future.
Oh,
worry about the future.
Anxiety, worry about future. Anything else?
That's too much stuff.
Too much
Oh,
stuff.
Me too. Too much
Oh,
stuff. Yes.
who has too much stuff?
Yes.
Amen.
Okay, amen.
You're going to come out and clean up then.
You saw what I did.
I know. Yes.
What?
She's good at.
Would you come to my house?
Urge.
Do you go to people's houses? You
Yes.
should.
Start a business.
Anything else?
Things will never change.
Things will
Oh.
never change.
Yeah.
Can you read my writing. I want to share with you.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I actually failed penmanship growing up. Oh, wait, that's monkey brain.
Yes.
I have great handwriting.
Failure. Put down failure.
I have great penmanship.
Yes.
Anything else that we want to put up here? This is our chance.
Fear of failure.
Fear of
Mhm,
failure.
yeah.
Yes. How many people have fear of failure sometimes? That's so something, isn't it? I don't want to give it power, it's just so something.
Aging.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just applying for Medicare. It's huge.
Whoops. Anything else?
Well, how did you do on spelling?
You know, quite honestly, I was an A+ student in that department, but when, you get up in front of people and that was a good one though, you caught me. I love it. No, that's right. If we can't have fun,
Yeah.
if we, then right. Anything else?
I can't do it.
Lack of motivation, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost, they go hand in hand a little bit, don't they?
What's that?
Frustrating people.
There are none. Lack of motivation,
Can't.
do it. So frustrating people.
Or relationship.
If we were I was gonna say, we have to put it on ourselves. So relationships, that's a good one. All right. And you have last minute burning desire to put something up here before we start the meditation?
Sugar.
Sugar. So how can we frame that? Fear
Addiction.
of addiction or diet or addiction.
Throwing coffee.
Yeah, mine too. Coffee.
Addiction. Somebody else had
Approval by others.
approval, needing approval of others. Belief that we need approval from others. You know what's so wonderful about this? This is tricky. This is very tricky. What's wonderful about this is we're all in this together.
Yes.
Right? Do you all kind of have a sense of all of
Yes.
this?
Yes.
So let's do something about it right now. So first of all, let's just find that safe place, that sacred spot where we feel the support of the chair. We start focusing on our breath. We close our eyes so that we are comfortable and feel that it's our own special space. And just begin noticing your breath. Just focus on your breathing. Let it fill you, and when you let that air be released, relax, knowing that this is a sacred place, this is our home. That is the light within us that we turn to, that we recognize our unity with God. And we're going to take one nice slow breath and hold it for a few seconds so that you can feel that fullness thereof. God is everywhere. That breath is God's breath. Feel that sense of Godness within you and release that breath when you are ready. And so I'm going to read these words by Ernest Holmes in the first person. It is an agreement But remember, there's never judgment. We make agreements with ourselves and we do what we can do, and sometimes it escapes us. We feel a little separate and then we bounce back. It is our life dance. It is our God self doing the dance of growing into a greater place of consciousness and understanding, so that we ultimately sit in that place of the Most High. So in the first person, I will read this agreement that you can take it in as your own. I shall not lie to myself anymore, but speak the truth to my inner soul, telling it that it is wonderful and marvelous, and that it is one with the great cause of all life, truth, power, and action. And no illusions can enter my thoughts. I represent the one mind which cannot act against itself, nor cannot act against me. I am immune to all suggestion and cannot receive false thoughts nor harbor them. I know the false and understand the real, and I shall keep this promise to myself. I shall strive to never again tell myself that I do not have enough time, that I have anxiety and worry and fear about the future. I shall strive to never again tell myself that I have too much stuff, or that things can never change, or that I have a fear of failure. I shall strive to never again tell myself that I am aging, that I lack motivation, or that I can't do it. I shall strive to never again tell myself that I have issues with relationships, or that I have addictions, or that I need approval of others. I shall whisper thought of truth into my soul until it breaks forth into songs of joy, with the realization of its limitless possibilities. I shall whisper these thoughts into my soul until it breaks forth into songs of joy, with the realization of its limitless possibilities. And as we sit here and reflect upon the words that were spoken on our behalf, let us feel that sense of knowing the truth, and knowing that we can, and knowing that God always says yes. That the one mind, the infinite mind that knows all, is the infinite mind in which we work. So we are here and ready and willing to recognize this truth as we go about our day and our life. So just within yourself say yes to this truth that I spoke. Yes, I am ready to move forward in a greater way, in a deeper connection to God. Yes, I can, I am, I will, I do, I be one. So take a few more deep, loving breaths, and metaphorically pat yourself on the back for being here, for being open, for being willing to move forward in this wonderful teaching, to move forward in the idea of mind over matter. Take a few more nice deep breaths, and when you are ready, bring yourself back into your space, into your body. Wiggle, do whatever you need to be here. And then open your eyes. So thank you all for sharing this experience together and with me.
Thank you, Susan. Look at all these faces. These are just reminders that you are enough. You do enough. You give enough. And that when we truly know and feel that and trust that, we can really take in all that wisdom and all that truth and have it be the path upon which we step again, because of the forgetting, remembering, right? So today we have the book discussion, The Untethered Soul. We're doing part 5. Anyone can join us. Next week, Kat Roman is offering her sound bath again. It's really helpful if you sign up online. So follow the email you get or just take the flyer. It has the Breeze link. There's also a QR code that you can use. And if that's too much for you and you really want to be here, just let me know. The reason that we would like you to sign up is because there's a limited space. This space will move the chairs. We can lie down, lay down. I always confuse ever. It's about 17 people. And those of you that don't want to decline, you can sit on a chair. We'll make that happen for you. There's a new flyer with Michael offering his 3D chakra workshop, so you might want to grab that. It's also in the weekly blast, and that's going to happen on, is there really no date on here? August 26th at 12:30. And of course, we have the Brookside Wellness Fair that's happening on the 30th of September. If anybody wants to help in any way, there's lots of ways you can take some flyers. Maybe you know some sponsors, maybe you know some vendors, maybe you want to serve the day of. So all that can really help us. And beautiful Susan is helping me with the vendors. So we're going to have a wonderful time with that. So let's close with a healing treatment, and that's going to be done by Susan.
Did you say August 26th for Michael? That's a Saturday?
Yes,
Oh, okay. It's not after service.
Saturday, yes. And it's from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Yes, it is a Saturday. Oh, wait, we do our offertory. So whether you're giving anything in the world of form or anything in the world of spirit, it's all good. We have no expectations. You do you, you be you. If you're not able to give today, or you're not giving today because you give online, or you give once a month or once a year, just hold your hand over the basket and bless the offering, knowing that the offering represents our love for this teaching, for each other, and for this community. There's envelopes in here if you want us to track it, and a pen. And I'm going to invite you to repeat after me. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless.
It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless.
It returns to me.
It returns to me,
Multiplied abundantly.
multiplied abundantly.
As I share my good,
As I share my good,
I accept my greater good.
I accept my greater good.
Thank you. And if you want to fill out the envelopes, you just keep moving the basket around and then it will come back to you. But now we're going to have Susan blessing us with a closing treatment. Are you doing Treatment Express today?
If you would like me
Okay,
to.
so those of you that want to have the experience of a quick, easy spiritual mind treatment affirmative prayer, she's available for Treatment Express, which means 2 minutes. And then if you want more, you can reach out to any of the practitioners that are here to support you. So she'll be over here somewhere, so just come over for that. All right, let's have a closing treatment.
So as we sit here, in the consciousness of oneness. I speak these words knowing there is only one life, and that life is expressing itself right here and now, as this day, as this event, as each one in their most perfect individualized way. Knowing that there is only love. Love with a capital A is guiding and guiding and ever guiding each one. This center, the community, the world, and beyond. So we know that we participated in joy. We know that we were all open to receive newness. We know that we make way for better understanding, a way of moving from good to greater good. And we are ready to accept that truth, that covenant that we made together. Knowing the truth that our thoughts are God thoughts. We are open to receive. We let go, we let God. And in letting God, we are free. We are free to be the expression of light that we truly are. So each one leaves here this day inspired, fulfilled, and goes home and sees the blessings that are ever present in their inner world and their outer world. And each one leaves here more elevated, more sure, more available to learn more, to gain more, to accept more truth. This is the way of the light. That light that is shining, ever present from within to without. That place of the Most High upon which we sit. We know this truth. This truth sets us free. And so with love and gratitude for knowing this truth, I release these words to the loving law, and we all say together, and so it is. Namaste.